Hello and welcome to another edition of Focus on Morris County. I'm Joe Garifo, Public Information Officer for the Morris County government. Focus on Morris County is a program that's designed to keep us up to date on the actions that are being taken by the Morris County Board of Freeholders. The show is also intended to make us all more aware of the many facets of Morris County government. The Morris County Sheriff's Office this year is celebrating its 275th anniversary. And Morris County Sheriff Edward Rochford and his staff are planning a rather large celebration, shall we say, this coming November 21st to be specific. We're going to learn about that event, and we're also going to learn a bit about the Sheriff's Office itself from my guest. And she is Susan Hunter. Susan is the Chief of Staff in the Morris County Sheriff's Office. Susan, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me.
Before we talk about this gala event that's coming up November 21st. Can you give us a bit of history about the Sheriff's Office, maybe an abridged version of the 275 years?
You bet. The Morris County Sheriff's Office was established back in 1739. And with a quick calculation, that's 37 years before the official birth of America. So it's pretty impressive. Back in 1739, the King of England appointed Thomas Clark to be our first sheriff. And in the past 275 years, there's actually only been 65 sheriffs serving Morris County. Sheriff Arnold Ladd is our longest serving sheriff. He served for 27 years. He started in 1947, and he served until 1974. However, and so he's our longest serving sheriff. Our close second is our own Sheriff Rochford, and he's on his 23rd year serving Morris County as sheriff. 48 years in law enforcement for Morris County, but 23 as a sheriff.
Now, we're talking about 275 years of the Sheriff's Office. As you look at the Sheriff's Office today, give us a little thumbnail sketch of the operation of the Sheriff's Office, maybe some of the bureaus or the units and some of their responsibilities.
Well, first and foremost, we have the courthouse. It's our constitutional duty to secure the courthouse. And being a historic building, it offers a few challenges. However, we do a great job at securing it. We also manage the jail, the county jail, and that has a capacity of 500 inmates. Fortunately, we're not at full capacity, so that's a good thing. But it's also an accredited agency, or part of our agency. Within the jail, we also have a SLAP program, which is the Sheriff's Labor Assistance Program. And it's a compassionate way for allowing inmates to serve their sentence without serving time. And what they do is under the supervision of our officers, they go out and do community service for nonprofits. And they're able to serve their sentence without actually having to serve time in the jail. We also have our evidence unit. Evidence unit is secured, it's organized. We also have a pill drop-off program, and that has been very successful. In this first year, we collected over 4,000 pounds of pills. So that's medication that's not going out into our waterway or not getting into the hands of our children. So that's been a fantastic program. We also have the CERT team, and that's the Sheriff's Emergency Response Team. This was established many years back. However, a few years back, the freeholders had asked us to make this county-wide. And so we brought in the best of the best commanders, and we opened it up to all the 39 towns to participate in. And a very strong team. We go out at the request of the prosecutor's office. And they're very professional, very proud, top-notch team. Our CIS, our Criminal Investigation Section, also top-notch. We have that state-of-the-art facility over on West Hanover Avenue at the Public Law and Safety Complex. And that's headed up by Chief Ryan, who is known as one of the top crime and scene investigators in the country. So that's going well. Again, prosecutor's office loves that. They come in, they do their job, and they leave. Our canine unit, which seems to be everyone's favorite, I think because of the dogs, that was established back in 1977. We have 18 dogs and 8 handlers, so our handlers are multi-trained. And our dogs take care of situations, anything from narcotics to arson, explosives, patrol, and search and rescue. So we have everything covered, and again, also servicing the 39 towns we represent in the county. And then, of course, we have the warrants and the bomb squad. So we're out there. We're servicing the county.
As you look back over the 275 years of the Sheriff's Office, Susan, what are some of the milestones that have been achieved during this time frame?
Well, in 1998, under Sheriff Rochford's leadership, we became the first nationally accredited sheriff's office in the state of New Jersey, so that was very impressive. Then in 2004, we actually earned the prestigious award, the Triple Crown Award. Now, this is an award only bestowed on the best of the best in the country, and it is when you are simultaneously accredited by three agencies, three national agencies that go through an accreditation process. So we achieved that in 2004. And just to show you how remarkable that is, to date, only 39 counties in the entire country, and we have over 3,000 sheriff's offices in the country, only 39 have ever attained this award.
Wow. And
we've actually attained it 10 years in a row.
Okay. Now, I mentioned at the very beginning of the program that the Sheriff's Office is celebrating its 275th anniversary this year. You actually began early in the year celebrating. What were some of the things that the office has done in celebration of the anniversary?
We sure have been celebrating. We started off with the kickoff dedication, which was back in February. And it was a wonderful tribute to both Sheriff Arnold Ladd and Sheriff John Fox. And it was held in the courthouse. We had over 200 in attendance. And Sheriff John Fox was there in attendance, as well as Sheriff Arnold Ladd's daughter, who actually still resides in Morris County. She was there representing Sheriff Arnold Ladd.
There's I also mentioned at the beginning of the program, this event coming up in November 21st, a gala celebration. What can you tell us about this, Susan?
It's going to be a fantastic night, a night you don't want to miss. We are going to be having over 1,000 guests. We're going to have this gala celebration at the Birchwood Manor on, again, as you mentioned, Friday, November 21st. And we're going to start off with cocktail hour with a pianist. Then we're going to have DJ during the dinner and some dancing. And then we're going to have a headliner, Jim Brewer, Saturday Night Live's comedian and our own resident here at Morris County. He's going to be our headliner. And I say headliner because he's a celebrity. However, I believe he's going to be sharing the stage at some point during the night, because there's rumblings within the agency that some of our guys are going to put on a show of their own.
Is that a good idea?
I think it's going to be fantastic. I think it's going to be great.
You mentioned this silent auction. Do you already have some items that people have donated that people will be able to bid on during the silent auction?
We sure do. This has been an outpouring of support. And we already have some fine jewelry, we have some sporting event tickets, we have some vacation spots, we have a beautiful patio set donated. We're getting donations from every which way. It's fabulous. The support has been wonderful.
I want to go back to the celebration where you honored former Sheriff John Fox and former Sheriff Ladd. I think you had mentioned before we actually started to do the program that a relative of one of the early sheriffs made contact with you. Tell us about that.
I'm glad you asked. Yes, shortly after the press release for that dedication went out, I was contacted by a woman who was tracing her roots. And she ended up finding out that her great-great-great-grandfather, Thomas Kinney, I think I got enough greats in there, Thomas Kinney was actually our sheriff during our year of independence in 1776. And so in talking to her, she actually attended the dedication as well. And in talking to her, I suggested she trace it back a little further, because our second sheriff was named John Kinney and could very well have been his father.
Wow.
So, yeah, it was pretty interesting.
That was. Now, we're talking about this event coming up November 21st at the Birchwood Manor. If someone wanted more information about the gala itself, maybe ticket information, if someone had some items that they perhaps wanted to donate to the silent auction, if somebody wanted to take advantage of a commemorative journal that I understand is being put together for the occasion. Tell us how they can go about doing all of that.
Absolutely. They can contact me at 973-285-6688, and I can, send them out the invitation or any information on the silent auction donations or the ads. Spots that we have anything from a full page down to a business card size available, and I will hook them up with the information, or they can contact us through email at morriscountysheriff275@gmail.com.
And the Sheriff's Office also has a Facebook page. You can look for it on Facebook. It's Morris County Sheriff Office, Morris County Sheriff's Office 275th anniversary. If you do a search for that on Facebook, you'll be able to come up to the Facebook page. Susan, I want to go back to something else that we had talked about when we're talking about the Sheriff's Office today. What is the relationship between the Sheriff's Office and, let's say, local police departments in the county or other law enforcement agencies in the county?
Our relationship is fantastic. I think it's never been better. We are very much there to support the local PDs, and they know that. We don't go into their territory unless they request us. We're there with the shared supported services that we provide on things that they don't have in their towns. And we're there for the call. We don't bring an entourage. If they need our canine goes out there, does the job, and goes back to the agency.
Yeah.
So we have a great working relationship. The chief of police, in fact, Doug Scheer, sent a statement of support, just saying we couldn't do what we do if you weren't there to help us. So we're right there with this, the CIS, the canine, everything, the CERT. We're there to help them, 100% to help them. And we have a great relationship with the prosecutor's office. We're there at their request. And I probably not a week goes by that I don't get, I'm walking down the hall with John Spears, Chief Spears, and he mentions, what a great team we have and how well they did on a case for him.
I want to give the contact information once again, Susan, if you don't mind, for the 275th anniversary of the Morris County Sheriff's Office. Again, the date for that celebration is Friday, November 21st. It's at the Birchwood Manor in Whippany. If you'd like more information, you can give Susan Hunter, the Chief of Staff of the Sheriff's Office, a call at 973-285-6688. Susan Hunter, I want to thank you very much for being with us today.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Now, if you have a question about Morris County government that you would like to have answered, you can call the Morris County Freeholders Office. That telephone number is 973-285-6010. You can also visit the county government on the web, morriscountynj.gov. Once you're there, please take advantage of all of the various social networking sites that the Morris County government has for you, including Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Scribd, and Flickr. I'm Joe Garifo. Thank you for being with us, but don't go away, because we'll be right back.
Are you pregnant, scared, or a new mother who can't care for your newborn?
There's a safe haven in New Jersey.
You or a friend can bring an infant to any hospital or police station and give up custody safely, legally, and anonymously.
No questions asked, no shame, no blame, no names.
Call 1-877-839-2339 or visit njsafehaven.org to learn more. Remember,
New Jersey has a safe haven for unwanted infants.
Brought to you by the New Jersey Department of Children and Families.
Welcome back to Focus on Morris County. I'm Joe Garifo. And on this segment of the program, we are going to learn a bit about the Morris County Prosecutor's Office. I'm pleased to be joined by Morris County Prosecutor Fredric Knapp. Prosecutor Knapp was sworn in as Morris County Prosecutor in July of this year after having been nominated to that position by Governor Chris Christie. Prosecutor Knapp, welcome to the program.
Good morning. Good morning, Joe.
Thank you for joining us. Before we start to talk about the office itself, can you just give us a little overview about yourself, your background, and maybe your career prior to becoming prosecutor?
Sure, I'd be glad to. Grew up in Irvington, New Jersey. I've been a lifelong resident of the state. Other than 4 years of college and 3 years of law school, I've spent my whole life here. Met my wife in high school, and we've been married for 38 years this year. Since I've graduated from law school, I worked for almost 5 years with the Attorney General's office at the Division of Criminal Justice, handling prosecutions in various parts of the state, throughout the state. I also spent almost 2.5 years with the United States Department of Justice Organized Crime and Racketeering Section. After that, I was in private practice for almost 30 years, primarily handling labor and employment law and related litigation. I represented many municipalities. I also represented the County of Morris, County of Sussex, and other administrative, or rather other public bodies, primarily as labor and employment counsel.
When we look at the prosecutor's office itself, give us an idea as to what that office's role is in law enforcement.
Well, the prosecutor is the chief law enforcement officer of the county. As such, we have responsibility to oversee and investigate all activities that are what are called directives. In other words, there are certain types of offenses that municipal police officers must contact the prosecutor's office to handle. There's a whole litany of them. I won't go into it in great detail, other than, we don't get involved in non-indictable offenses. Municipal court matters are handled by the local law enforcement agencies. But anything that must be heard in superior court, which is what we would call an indictable offense, comes to the prosecutor's office.
The makeup of the prosecutor's office in Morris County, for example, assistant prosecutors, staff, some of their responsibilities. Right. What can you tell us about that?
Well, we have approximately 37 assistant prosecutors. The reason I say that is because we recently had one of our APs announced that he would be leaving to go to another agency, so we are looking to fill that position. So it's an approximate number, but generally approximately 37 attorneys who work in the office. Approximately 12 of them are supervising assistant prosecutors, which includes the first assistant. It includes the executive assistant prosecutor and other units that are supervised by APs. We also have 70 detectives currently. We're almost at full capacity. They are under the command of Chief of Investigations John Spears. And I know you know Chief Spears.
Yes, yes.
In addition to those positions, we currently have 8 prosecutors agents, and we have approximately 30 support staff.
Now, within the prosecutor's office, there are a number of units, divisions, and really probably far too many to mention on the program. But I want to go into a couple of them. One in particular, a professional standards unit. Whose professional standards does this unit monitor, and why?
Well, first let me just take a step back.
Sure.
There's 4 divisions within the office.
Okay.
Courts and Administrative Division, which is the largest in terms of attorneys and staff, which handles most of the trials that go on in the courts. We have Special Operations, which includes narcotics, fugitive intelligence, and high-tech crime. Tactical Division, which includes the homicide, cold case, vehicular homicide, arson, environmental, sex crimes, and Megan's Law. And lastly, the Specialized Crime Division, which includes professional standards. And a specialized crime also includes domestic violence, financial crime, juvenile and missing persons. In terms of the professional standards unit, what we're monitoring is pursuant to the Attorney General guidelines on internal affairs, all law enforcement personnel are subject to certain requirements in terms of general conduct and behavior that they must abide by. The prosecutor's office will ensure that everyone in the county is in compliance with those standards. So that is involving law enforcement personnel. But in terms of professional standards, we may have occasion to get involved in matters involving public officials. Any allegations of official corruption would come to that unit, professional standards unit.
Obviously, every crime victim has his or her life changed, and I know that each victim is supported by everyone in your office. But there are, for lack of a better term, maybe special victims that the Office of Sex Crimes, Child Endangerment Unit comes in contact with. How crucial is it that these victims are treated properly and that their cases are aggressively pursued.
It's extremely important, Joe, and we have 4 full-time victim witness staff who are extremely professional, who deal with the victims of crime and survivors on an as-needed basis. We try to assist them in any way. It's a partially grant-funded program, but we have a great need to support the needs of our victims of crime, particularly the children in the sex crimes and child endangerment area. In particular, we also work with Deirdre's House, and I'm sure you remember former freeholder Jim O'Brien and his wife were the founders, if you will, of Deirdre's House, which deals with children of sex crime and endangerment, which is adjacent to the courthouse. So we work together very closely with them.
The office of late has been targeting, as I understand it, gangs and gang violence. Is this a serious problem in Morris County, Fred?
Well, let me just take a step back in terms of targeting. What we attempted to do was to handle violent crime, and we set out a particular initiative in areas of the county where we thought it was most needed. And as a result of that, we had numerous arrests. Some of the individuals had gang affiliation. This is a national problem. It's not just Morris County, it's a national problem throughout the state of New Jersey. We are fortunate in Morris County that it is not as prevalent as it might be in others. I was with the sheriff from Mercer County yesterday. We had a discussion concerning gang violence, which is an extremely serious problem in his county. And fortunately, we're not at that level, but we have to remain vigilant. So that's why we've taken the initiatives that we have to ensure that it is, to the extent we can control it.
Well, if someone were to ask you, are gangs present in Morris County, how would you respond to that?
I would answer yes.
Okay. The prosecutor's office also has a very active community outreach program. Tell us a little bit about that and why it is that you think community outreach, getting out into the community, is important.
We do a lot of education work with schools concerning crime prevention. As you know, the heroin and opiate problem is at an epidemic rate throughout the state because of the purity of heroin. What we've sought to do is to work with schools and to work with other organizations to educate them concerning the problem. As recently, you may remember, there was a Do No Harm symposium at Morristown Hospital, which we participated in along with the United States Attorney, which dealt mainly with education of healthcare professionals who are prescribing opiates for legitimate purposes. The problem is that the drugs fall into the hands of children who then abuse them, unfortunately, and the cycle becomes addiction to the opiates, and then when the opiates, the prescription drugs run out, they then turn to heroin. So this is the problem we're attempting to deal with. In terms of community relations, our goal is to educate students, educate the parents to the extent that we can, and healthcare professionals to try to end the cycle. It's an ongoing battle, as I'm sure you know.
Something that I guess can be connected to these efforts is a program that the prosecutor's office participates in from time to time known as Operation Take Back.
Yes.
It encourages people to return unused or expired prescription drugs for proper disposal.
Right.
Again, is this a part of your outreach efforts?
We've worked since I've become the prosecutor. We've had, I believe, 4 different times when we've had the programs. They're done twice a year. This is also supported by the Drug Enforcement Agency of the federal government. There are sites throughout the county where people are asked to turn in unused medication. It doesn't have to be prescription medication. It can be any type, so that it is taken out of the hands of those who might abuse it. That would also include any type of prescription drugs, you name it. And the last time that we had the program, which was a few weeks ago, I think we netted over 600 pounds of drugs.
Prosecutor Fred Knapp, I want to thank you very much for being with us today. I know we've only just scratched the surface, so to speak, of the many activities and programs that the prosecutor's office is involved with. But I'd like to give some contact information for your office if someone has any additional questions about anything that the prosecutor's office is involved with. You can reach the prosecutor's office here in Morris County at 973-285-6200. You can also email the prosecutor's office at prosecutor@co.morris.nj.us. And the prosecutor's office has an extensive website as well if you want to find out what's going on in Morris County, and in particular in the Morris County Prosecutor's Office. Just go online, morrisprosecutor.org. Now, if you have a question about Morris County government that you would like to have answered, you can call the Morris County Freeholders Office at 973-285-6010. You can also visit the county government website at morriscountynj.gov. Once you're there, sign up for the county's electronic newsletter, Morris County Connections, and also please take advantage of the many social networking sites that Morris County government embraces. They include Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Scribd, and Flickr. I'm Joe Garifo. Thank you very much for being with us. I'd like to invite you to tune in again next week at this time for another edition of Focus on Morris County.